Morning, everybody. I'm John Andoh. I'm the Mass Transit Administrator for the County of Hawaii Mass Transit Agency. And I'm here today to talk about how to rediscover the importance of transportation on an island. In our case, we have gone through a renaissance with public transportation. We've implemented a master plan that was created in 2018. And basically we're rebuilding a transit system that has suffered from many years of decline, very old buses, an antiquated route network. And ultimate goal is to make public transportation on our island an economic driver, increase ridership, and make it attractive to not only residents, but visitors, as well as businesses who depend on employees coming from the east side to work on the west side. So this is we are an agency within the county government. We have a staff of 17 people. We're responsible for the oversight of public transportation island-wide. And we have an administrative staff and a maintenance staff. And then we contract out all of the other functions such as operations and customer service to various private vendors to operate our transit system. So our county council, as well as our mayor, adopted a transit and multimodal transportation master plan in August of 2018. As I mentioned, the main framework of this plan is to rebuild our transit system, make it a financially sustainable transit system, spur economic development, expand routes and services, restore ridership, and be multimodal in nature by connecting public transit to that. And that includes implementing various multimodal opportunities like a bike share system, microtransit, partnerships with Lyft and Uber, specialized demand responsive services, and working with other departments such as planning and public works so that we can do complete streets, for instance, by adding bike lanes, having bus stops incorporated into our various thoroughfares throughout the island, truly making our transportation system more multimodal versus just a single focus. This here is the previous Helion network. We had 15 routes, 9 in East Hawaii, 1 in North Hawaii, and 5 in West Hawaii, and an 88 paratransit service, basically operated Monday through Saturday, and we had very limited Sunday and holiday service. Primarily the focus in the past was to connect people from East Hawaii to West Hawaii to jobs that were primarily in the west side, and to provide a limited focus of services within Hilo and Kailua Kona. Today's network, which started on September 5th, basically added 6 new routes, more evening, Sunday, and holiday service. We have a total of 23 routes now in the Helion system. We added routes that go across a mountain, which is known as the Daniel K. Inui Highway, or previously known as Saddle Road. So it provides an express way to get from Hilo to Kailua Kona. 12 of our routes operate on Sundays and holidays. We have service now until 10 p.m. on many of our routes. We now operate on a hub and spoke system. So we have hubs in Kailua Kona, Waimea, Hilo, as well as in Keau. We also implemented circulator routes in Waimea, Hilo, Pahoa, and Kailua Kona. We've increased our services to our 3 airports. We've added 3 express routes, the blue, the red, and the green. We have paratransit service now in the Pahoa area. We have flex routes that are in Waimea in our Fern Acres area, which is near Volcano, as well as along the Hamakua coast. And then we started to cater to the tourist market, and we operate a trolley, as you saw on my first slide, along Ali'i Drive in Kailua Kona. And we're in the process of developing a tourist-based service in Hilo. And this shows you the paratransit network that we have in our densely areas of the island. So since we've implemented this new system, we've started to see ridership increase. We have more routes, better trip opportunities and connections, more east-west connections, more services to the airports, consolidation of services to make it seamless on getting around the island. We added back service in areas that lost service, such as Leilani Estates, which lost service due to our recent volcano eruption. And then the biggest thing is having a consistency in headways. Many of the routes now operate on a consistent 60 or 120-minute headway, which allows for connectivity at the hubs. We've also had some challenges that we've been working through. We have addressed on-time performance on some of the routes, even though we're a rural island, we still have a lot of congestion that has affected some of the on-time performance of these routes. COVID-19 has precluded us from adding full service on some of these routes based on what the master plan has recommended. So we are working with our contractor, Roberts Hawai'i, to hire more bus operators. And as we get more bus operators hired, we will continue to add additional services until we fully have implemented the master plan. Of course, with any changes in service, when people are used to something for 30+ years and you change it, it creates confusion. So we've had to spend the month of October retraining people how to utilize the new network, understand a hub and spoke system. And so far we are getting a lot of positive feedback on such. We had a bridge along the Hamakua coast that ended up having some structural defects. And there was weight restrictions imposed on that bridge while HDOT does some emergency repairs on it. So for first couple of weeks during this implementation, we had to reroute all of our buses that went along the Hamakua coast through the mountain along the Daniel K. Nui Highway. So that created some additional confusion in addition to the routes that we changed. And then once some of those construction were done, we were able to reroute those buses back to the Hamakua coast. It increased travel time for those that lived on the Hamakua coast by an hour and a half, just because we had to have our buses go through the mountain and then go back to the coast to pick people up and then take them to where they needed to go. So now that we are multimodal, we have expanded into other areas. We're responsible in partnership with a nonprofit organization called PATH for our high bike system. And we have bike share systems in Hilo and in Kailua Kona. And starting this month, we've allowed Helion riders to get free access on high bike as a first mile, last mile connection. So we kind of treat the bike share system as a bus route in essence. And by doing so, people can just ask the bus driver for the code, put the code into the app or at the kiosk, and they can get unlimited 30-minute sessions utilizing high bike. And we've seen an increase in high bike ridership as a result of this partnership. One exciting thing about this, as well as with the unlimited 30-minute sessions, you can return the bike at the 29th minute and then recheck it out for another 30 minutes. And you can do that for a 24-hour period. Partnering with Uber, we launched Vaccination Transportation, and we subsidized trips at $15 and allowed people to use this subsidy 4 times. And then we're continuing discussions with Uber and Lyft to include them in our taxi shared ride program so we can expand the coverage of that program to be island-wide, where we'll provide a $12 subsidy. And this service is important for people who live in areas where we can't send Helion buses, or they can use this as a supplement to Helion. Starting this year, we are going to be launching a van pool program in partnership with Commute with Enterprise. We have budgeted 30 vans, and we will subsidize that at $500 per month per van. And the goal is to connect people to major employment sites, such as our resort areas or various farms like the macadamia nut farms or our coffee farms. And when it's not convenient for us to send buses. And this will be the first public-private partnership program in the state of Hawaii for a while. And these vans will be ADA accessible. We'll have an emergency ride home program, ride matching. Enterprise will provide marketing and outreach as well as the vans. And then we're also going to have an opportunity for people to add bike racks to their vans to further create that multimodal opportunity. So in the last 6 months, we've done a lot to implement the elements of the master plan. We've purchased 12 new buses. We've added technological improvements. We've implemented a new route and schedule network. We have a new logo, brand, and marketing. We're increasing training efforts of our county staff and our contracted staff. We started accepting credit cards at the Mo'oheau bus terminal. We've been pursuing more grants to help support our services. We've engaged our Transportation Commission more to help us and given us advisory information on how to operate our transit system. We're recruiting for additional positions to allow us to operate and administer these services. We've also reclassified positions to make them fit better. We've been working on increasing the staff morale. We've formed various partnerships with community organizations like Safe Place. We've developed a fleet replacement plan so we can have basically a brand new fleet by 2024. We've improved our reporting. We're getting ready to transition into zero emission technology. We have social media. We've been constructing bus shelters and transit hubs, and we've been improving our ADA compliance based on a settlement agreement that was previously entered into with the Department of Justice regarding ADA accessibility. And we still have more to do, and we are continuing to work on doing those things. As I mentioned, we have the van pool program and a restructured shared ride program coming up. In March, we're going to be adding 3 additional services, a route from Volcano to Ocean View in the southern portion of our island, additional midday service on our Route 90, which connects the southern portion of the island to the northern portion of the island on the west side, a new route in Kailua Kona. We're going to be doing micro transit in the Puna and Kau districts. They have very large subdivisions. We have some of the largest subdivisions in the United States. Some of these subdivisions can be as much as 10 miles long, and it is difficult for people living in these subdivisions to access the highway to connect to transit services. So this micro transit service will help provide that connection. We partner with nonprofits to provide specialized demand responsive services. So we want to enhance those services to do more. We now launched in Google Maps, Bing Maps, and soon Apple Maps so people could plan their trip. We're in the process of buying 38 buses and implementing hydrogen buses, constructing hubs in Pahoa and Kailua Kona, adding AVL to our buses, rebranding our fleets so we have one consistent brand. Restructuring our organization, transitioning from a flag stop system to a sign system with bus stop signs island-wide, adding technology such as an inventory system and electronic fare boxes. As a way to make transit attractive and to help increase ridership, starting in March, we're going to be going fare free. We will be the first transit system in the state of Hawaii to be fare free. Personally, as the administrator, I see transit as a social justice issue. Just like how you go to the library and you can check out books for free, and library is a social issue. I see public transit as such, and our mayor, as well as our Transportation Commission and council, agree with that. So we're going to do a 2-year pilot. We're going to use grant funds to cover passenger fares. We only generate $560,000 a year in fares, so it's less than 2% of our budget. It just doesn't make sense for us to spend money to collect a buck. So this way we can see our ridership grow. We're going to have some procedures in place so that we don't overwhelm the system, as well as encourage people to use the system as like a homeless shelter, for instance. So we really want people to use this as transportation. And then, as I mentioned, Helion riders can now access our bike share system for free. So that just makes it even more attractive and people wanting to use public transportation. When we had a fare-free system from 2005 to 2013, we saw our ridership go from 329,000 passenger trips to 1.2 million passenger trips. So we're hoping to get back to 1.2 passenger trips and sustain that going forward into the future. That will also make us equal in ridership with some of the other islands that have had well-established public transit systems. SSFM based in Hawaii did our last master plan, and we are asking them to update our master plan since it has taken a while to implement many of the elements in that plan. We'll be updating our capital and fleet replacement plan, financial plan, and staffing plan. We're funded through what is called a general excise tax. So it's basically a tax on everything to support our efforts. And that tax expires in 2030. So this plan update will look at what will happen if we ran out of the GET and we had to use highway funds, which is fuel taxes, and general funds to support us, or I'll provide a framework so our county council can lobby the legislator to extend the GET for not only our island, but for all the other islands so we can continue to support these efforts. And we want to be able to demonstrate how this master plan has led to making transit an economic driver through these taxes so that the legislator can see the value of why these general excise taxes are important to the islands for public transit purposes. And also just push our master plan out to 2032. So this is our new brand. You'll probably notice in some of the pictures, there were some green buses, some blue buses, some gold buses from Oahu. We have so many different types of buses. So we run a rainbow colored fleet. This will be the first time where we'll have fleet consistency on all of our buses island-wide since the system was created. It focuses on the island flower, the lehua, as well as our island color, which is red for lava. And it shows to people that it's a public service. Our logo is very contemporary in design and just makes wanting to ride public transit inviting, which is the ultimate goal of this design. We engaged the community in selecting this design through social media, and we had a lot of people actively participate in the voting process. So we're very excited finally see this brand of our fleets. And then this is how the bus stop sign would look like. It would basically tell people our route numbers, the destination of the route, as well as the ID numbers so they can get real-time information. Basically, our sign right now is fairly generic, and we only have signs at 70 of our bus stops. We are engaging in an active fleet replacement plan. The average age of a Helion bus is 16.6 years old. We have not purchased new buses since 2014, basically. And so this fleet replacement plan will replace our entire fleet. We have funds to purchase 36 buses right now through various grants. We also have buses that have been purchased in the last couple of years that are going to be delivered this year. So that would get us basically to a fleet of 55 buses again that are county owned, so we don't have to no longer rely on the private sector. 47 of those buses will be large, 15 are small, and then we have a fleet of 7 paratransit vehicles that we're going to be utilizing later on this year. As part of our fleet, we are transitioning to a zero emissions bus fleet. The previous mayor in 2017 signed a commitment to transition to a zero emissions transit fleet by 2035 with the other 3 mayors in the state of Hawaii. So to that end, we have 3 hydrogen buses that are coming from US Hybrid that are going to be placed into service later on this year in Kailua Kona. We have 5 battery electric buses that we're going to be purchasing later on this year, and we're doing a joint procurement that we're leading in partnership with the counties of Maui and Kauai. We are purchasing 3 diesel hybrid electric buses, and then the balance of the buses are going to be diesel with the desire in 2034 when they hit their 12-year mark to replace them with zero emissions technology. Through this pilot that we're doing with hydrogen and battery electric, it'll give us an opportunity to learn so that we can be proficient by the time we fully transition the balance of the fleet to zero emissions to meet that goal of zero emissions by 2035. Hydrogen for now will be in Kailua Kona since we have a station there already operational. Battery electric buses will be in Hilo and in Pahoa since we'll be installing charging facilities there. And then we're also going to learn how we can utilize this technology to cross the island. And we're going to construct infrastructure in various locations throughout the island so that we can utilize this technology island-wide. We want to make public transit comfortable and attractive. So we are constructing transit hubs throughout the island. As I previously mentioned, in Hilo, Kailua Kona, Waimea, Keau, Pahoa, Honaka'a, and the Waikoloa resorts area. We're going to construct more bus shelters. We're going to be constructing ADA pads, transitioning away from a flag stop system to a sign system, have more turnouts in partnership with the state or the county public works as they reconstruct some of our roadways. And then, and most importantly, add ITS to our bus stops, which will make it attractive for people to get information. And what's really exciting is now we're starting to get into the realm of technology. We did not have technology previously. We are implementing GMV synchromatics on 4 of our buses by way of myhelionbus.org. We have our contractors that's installing green roads technology so they can track where buses are for dispatching purposes. We've launched Token Transit and allow for mobile payment of our fares. We are partnering with Move It, and we have a mobility as a service app, and Move It acts as our trip planner. You can order Uber rides. You can unlock high bike stations with it. Soon we'll launch GTFS real time, so you'll be able to see our buses in real time on this app. And you can just get general information about our services as well as pay for your fare through Token Transit. We've launched credit card sales. We are developing a specialized Helion branded app as well. We are also redesigning our website to make it more ADA friendly and more easier to navigate and up to date. We haven't updated our website since 2008. We're repairing our destination signs. We've transitioned to a network of route numbers instead of just community destinations. And we're adding security cameras to our fleet as well as an inventory management system. This kind of shows you the integration of the Move It on our website. So people can do trip planning with it, as well as our Token Transit. This is the myhelionbus.org, where you can actually see how the bus is traveling on a particular route and when it's going to be arriving at its next stop. It also has the ability to track crowds on our buses, which will be very helpful as we transition to fare free. This is what our dispatcher uses to see where buses are in real time. It helps them in dispatching and responding to emergencies, and that's through Green Road. And then our GTFS is now launched on Bing Maps and Google Maps, so people can plan their trip, compare it to biking, walking, or driving. This is my contact information. And I encourage anybody who wants advice on how we're implementing a master plan or wants to learn more details on how we're doing public transit on our island, feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to share.